everybody, Susan LaCroix, demonstrator with Stampin' Up. Today I'm putting up a video as part of my tutorial for new stampers and crafters. We've kind of covered stamps and inks and paper. Today I want to talk about cutting and measuring. That seems to be an area where new crafters are very hesitant and not quite sure what to do. So I'm hoping that I can give you some tips to help you overcome some fears that you may have about measuring and cutting. What I'm going to do is just give you some basic measurements, some of the most common measurements that crafters use. So one of the tools that I think everybody needs is one of our Simply Scoring plates. It's big, so you can put 12 by 12 paper in here, and it's got measurements along the side as well as along the top, and it goes down to 1/8 inches, so that'll really help, I think. It comes with some markers, and you can certainly order more of these, but I keep 2 markers, one at 4 1/4 and one at 5 1/2, because as I mentioned, those are the 2 most common measurements that I use personally. In addition, I think everybody needs a Stampin Trimmer. And what I like about our Stampin Trimmer is that we've got this arm that comes out, so you can go well past 12-inch paper. And these measurements are, they go down to a 1/16, which is, I think, really great. It comes with a scoring blade, it comes with a cutting blade, and it's plastic, so these won't wear off. And so you'll be able to see, and they're nice, they're pretty big, I think, so you'll be able to see fairly easily. All right, a couple other tools that I think crafters could use. One is a nice ruler, and one that goes down again to 1/16, and then a bone folder, because you want to make sure that when you're done scoring you can make some nice crease lines. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So as I mentioned, the most common card size is scored in half at 5 1/2. So what I do is I'm going to take my Night of Navy piece of cardstock and my little scoring tool, and I'm going to score all the way down at 4 1/4. This comes in handy when you're prepping for a class or for doing multiple projects like Christmas cards or whatever. Then I'm going to take my cutting, and so you can see the score line here, and I'm going to go out to 5 1/2 inches here, and so you want to line that up. And this little trick here kind of helps keep your paper positioned at the top, so you're not cutting crookedly. All right, so here's my cutting blade, and I'm just going to cut. And so now you have your card base. So you'll notice that there's kind of a valley fold. I hope you can see that well on camera. And then the other side has a mountain fold. And intuitively, you want to fold this way and keep your mountain fold on the outside, but you don't want to do that. You want to have a nice crease so the paper doesn't look kind of funky. So you want your mountain fold to be folded in, and then you can take your bone folder and just make a nice crease along the side. So now you have your first card base. You can open your card this way, or you can put your focal point, your designs, on this way and have it open from the bottom up. So it gives you 2 different ways to fold this card. So let's work on some mats, and I'm just going to move my scoring plate out of the way for now. Bring that back in a little bit. So it's nice to have layers. I mean, yes, you can just use one layer. If you have a piece of white cardstock that you've done, you can stamp on that, and it'll look really cute. But a lot of us like to put some layers and some different colors together. So on this one, I'm going to take a piece of Granny Apple Green, one of our new colors, and I'm going to make a mat. So the most common mat that I'm going to use is 5 1/4 by 4. So this is 5 1/2 this way. That's where we made our cut. So now I'm going to go in from 5 1/2 to 5 1/4. So I'm just going to go down 1/4 inch along here, and I'm going to make a cut. Actually, I think I want to do it this way first. Excuse me. I like to save paper. So I'm going to go to 4 inches. So this was 4 1/4. So now I want to go down to 4. I apologize for that. because this gives me more paper to work with later. And now I'm going to turn my paper, and now I'm going to go to 4 1/4. And I'm going to cut that. So that when I mat this, some of my blue card base is going to show. And give it just a little more interest and a little more depth. So I'm going to make one more mat cut for this, and I'm going to take a piece of white because I want to add a third piece to this. So in this case, I'm going to go down for my 4-inch mark, which is where I put my Granny Apple Green. I'm going to go down 1 more 1/4 inch to 3 3/4, and I'm going to make my cut there. Again, I'm going to turn it around, and so my Granny Apple Green piece was 5 1/4, so I'm going to go down another 1/4 inch to 5 inches, so that I now have a card that will look like this. So it gives it some depth, it gives it some interest. So let me show you a card that I've made using this card sketch, and I used Accented Blooms, a new stamp set coming up, which is, I just love this stamp set. And I stamped it in black, and I used some of our Stampin' Blends, because yay, they're coming back, and colored in the flowers and stamped this. And this is a punch, and I threw some grosgrain ribbon. So I just have the 2 layers on here. So I just have Old Olive and a piece of Whisper White with my design on that. And then I did another piece for the inside, because it's kind of dark, so it'll be easier to write on. So that's that one. All right. So I'm going to move this out of the way for a minute and bring my Simply Scoring tool back in. And I'm going to take a piece of our shaded spruce and show you a different kind of fold. So I'm going to place my paper in this way, take my scoring tool at now 5 1/2. As I knocked my little marker thing out. So I'm going to score this down at 5 1/2. So I can make one great big card, but I'm not going to do that. And I'm going to bring my paper trimmer back. And I'm going to measure it 4 1/4. So kind of just the opposite of what I did for the last card. All right, so now my card base is like this, and again, my mountain fold is here. So I'm going to fold that in, and so now I have a card that's going to open like this. So we'll put this out of the way, and so I'm going to bring in a piece of real red. And again, I'm going to cut my mat at 4 inches. By 5 1/4. So we would mat like this. And so now I've got the beginnings of a Christmas card, don't you think? The shaded spruce and the real red. And I would probably put another piece of white like I did on the last card as well. Just to start doing my design work on there. So let me show you what a finished card looks like using that cut. And I used the very vintage Hostess Only stamp set. I just love this. I'm a vintage girl anyway. And we've got our cardstock base is basic black. And again, I took one of the matte piece and put it on the inside. And then just a little peek of the new granite color kind of peeking out. And then this the granite ink here as well. We put a little lace trim and a little of the new black cording, stamped Happy Birthday on it. Just so sweet. And I use shimmer paper for that, so I don't know if you can see that on camera. So those are probably the 2 most common folds that you're going to see, but I do want to show you one more. And I took a piece of So Saffron. This is just a half a sheet of cardstock that I had cut in half. And I'm going to make a gate card. So this is kind of a fun little card. It's not difficult at all. So I'm going to make a score line at 2 1/8. So here's my 2-inch mark. And so my 1/8 is going to be, if you can see it on camera, right there. So I'm going to move this out to that 2 1/8 inch mark. using my track to kind of keep my paper steady. And I'm going to use my scoring tool for this. And I'm going to just come down with that. So I don't know if you can see it, but it is there. Move this out of the way now. Let me find my bone folder because this is going to be important. So I'm going to turn it over because, again, I'm going to fold into my mountain fold and make a nice crease. Now, some people in they'll just turn the cardstock over and they'll do another score line there. But I have found with the gatefolds that I want to make sure that they're going to meet in the center. So after I do my first score, I just simply fold this over so that the centers come together. And then I use my bone folder. And so now I have a nice gatefold card using the same basic measurements that we used before. So I'm going to show you the finished project with this gate card. And I use the Abstract Impressions stamp set and Designer Series paper that coordinates with it. So these panels of Designer Series paper are 2 inches by 5 3/8 inches. So 2 inches here and then 5 3/8 inches there. Glued them down and then stamped a greeting from the stamp set and cut out a flower for there. And then we put a piece of the soft sky on the inside as well. And you can certainly stamp a greeting or an image in there. So that's a gatefold. And again, it's just using the same basic measurements that we've been using for the card base and then just making some different folds. So there's the gatefold, there's the longer fold that way, and there it is. Okay, so here are the 3 projects today using those very basic measurements, and those will be up on your screen. And I will also, when I put this on my blog, I will have the measurements there for you as well. So good luck. I hope this has been helpful for you as you're getting started. Don't be afraid to score and cut. It's only paper. It's all right. So have fun. Happy creating. Bye now.